You generally get disappointed that the world has to be like that because it doesn't. And I think that if people thought of other human beings the same way they thought about their own family, I think that a lot of injustice would be deterred from. Because if you see George Floyd and you think, that's my brother being suffocated and murdered by police, for what? You know, like, for what? A human life is gone now. For what reason? My name is Suzy Monser, and the name of my piece is Police Me. But it's not actually directly addressing police. It's rather addressing whiteness and policing in general. It does definitely speak about police brutality as one of the aspects, but people of color are policed in multiple ways by multiple people. It's not just like actual cops that police people of color. From like we have our bodies policed, our tones policed, our language policed by people. Often people of color are always compromising what they're saying, how they're acting, for the sake of a system that doesn't benefit them or isn't built for them. So the poem is more directly addressed to whiteness and the system that is rooted in whiteness. After the Black Lives Matter protests in America, I saw a lot of discourse online that was like really problematic. I found a lot of people acting as if like Black Lives Matter just came about at the death and murder of George Floyd, which is sad because Black Lives Matter didn't start at George Floyd and it's not going to end at George Floyd. It has to come back to the humanity of things. It has to. That's why it's personal to me, because I see people get so caught up with the politics of situations, which is obviously just as important, but there are also situations where you have to think about the humanity, the human side of this story. I don't think anyone deserves to be treated that way. No one deserves to die at the hands of police. And I wish that more people considered that and thought that way, because then the world would probably be a bit better. So that's definitely probably why it was personal to me. And also, like, with my history, I'm not a black person, obviously. I'm not here to exploit the black experience. I'm a person of color from the Middle East, like Lebanon, particularly is my heritage. So I've seen what violence does to people. And I've seen violence in my own country, and I've seen colonialism in my own country. And so yeah, it's personal for multiple reasons, but definitely the humanity instinct, like, was just like, I get so disappointed that this is still happening. I find even within media reporting that when it's something to do with the Middle East, or something to do with people of color, or Aboriginal incarceration, or Black death in custody, it's often spoken about in terms of numbers. It's never the individual story being pointed out, unless if like people of color really go to the labor of like begging to have their stories heard. Like sometimes it's often like we're spoken about as bodies that are just left for dead. When they speak about war, people think that the Middle East is still like just war-ridden. They don't think about the individual people that exist there. It's kind of like this faraway land where people are just dying and bombs are just falling. That doesn't just happen. Do you know what I mean? So often these massive issues are just pushed aside and put in this little bubble, and you're told, okay, yeah, this is a situation, there are people dying, there's a lot of people dying, so they're basically a number. But that doesn't allow anyone to have a human engagement with these people. I think the main takeaway that I want people to take from this poem is to acknowledge their privilege. We don't have time to sit and educate people, particularly white people, about racism. You can't just not be a racist. You have to be anti-racist. And that rhetoric has been going around online, and I really 100% wholeheartedly agree with it. But that starts with acknowledging your privilege.